to be here. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm gonna share my screen and I have like two monitors. So if I'm looking there, it's because I'm looking at the presentation and here's are my notes. So, okay. And can everyone see this presentation? Awesome. Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Myra. I'm a senior at Rice University studying computer science, and today I'm going to talk about my experience at Rice University and experience being a computer science major, and I'm also going to talk to you about an escape room game that I developed over the summer for you guys. So, a little bit about my background. That's a picture of Rice at the top, and at the bottom, I'm also involved in several clubs at Rice, one of them being a club called Rice Escape, which I founded last year, and we create escape rooms for students and faculty. And I'm just really passionate about escape rooms, so I thought, why not bring that to Rice since Rice is a pretty small school. They don't have like hundreds of clubs like maybe other public schools. So I really wanted to start that at Rice. And then to the right of that, I am also a part of Rice's Ultimate Frisbee team, which is a lot of fun. And then I also really like to do art and travel. And then at the bottom are some apps that I created. So the one all the way to the right is an app called Carpool that I made for Rice students to help them carpool to and from the Rice or the Houston airports. And that one has like 3,000 users, which is really exciting. And then the one to the left of that is an app called PQ, which is actually a TikTok clone that I made over the summer because I don't know if you guys heard there was like news that TikTok was gonna get banned in the US. So me and a group of friends were like, oh, this is a great opportunity to like maybe make a clone and then like maybe we'll get rich, but that didn't happen. So nothing happened with that app. And then to the left of that is an app that I'm currently working on with a food rescue organization in Houston. And then to the left is a Starbucks app because I interned at Starbucks last summer and got to work with them, which was pretty exciting. Okay, so why did I choose Rice? I chose Rice because one, it's a prestigious school in Texas, and I'm from Dallas, so it's pretty close to home, but far enough so that I'm like not too close to my parents and I can still be independent. And then two, it's a happy school, and when I matriculated, it was ranked the happiest school with a really high quality of life, which I really liked. And then three, they gave me a scholarship so that I could afford it, since Rice is not cheap. And I was mainly looking at the happiness factor because ultimately I just wanted to be happy wherever I went. And I felt like Rice was the best for me, happiness wise and financially. And I also wanted to touch on it being a prestigious school and say that you don't need to go to a prestigious school to be happy or successful. And I think there's a huge presumption that if you go to a prestigious school, you'll automatically get a job. And while it's true that you'll get a job easier than if you went to like community college or somewhere else, you still have to work hard for it while you're in college. So yeah, it doesn't just end at high school. Like even if you get to like an amazing university, you still have to work hard to ultimately get a job, which is, I guess, the goal. Okay, and now I'm going to talk about why I chose computer science. But first, what is computer science? Um, to me, it's such a broad term, and it's hard to say exactly what it is. But to put it in a definition, I would say it's the study of computers and software from their theory and design to their development and application. So to be specific, or more specific, computer science can be about algorithms like I don't know if you guys have heard of like TikTok's famous algorithm and how it makes it like data mines your information and all that, or Google searches engine, which is also an algorithm. And computer science can also be about app development, like making websites or mobile apps. It can also be game development or a branch of robotics where you need to write instructions for a robot and tell it what to do. And it can also be about analyzing data. So there are so many branches to computer science, and it's such a broad field, like many other majors, that it's okay if you like some parts and not other parts. Like for me, I really enjoy the artsy and creative side of computer science, like designing how the app is actually going to look and creating that. But I honestly hate like algorithms and stuff. That's just not for me. But I know like other people, they just love the algorithms and yeah, and it's such a big field. Like you might like some parts and not others. As for how I actually got into computer science, I was choosing between mechanical engineering and computer science, but I decided to go for computer science because I was. This is kind of a bad reason, but I was like, I just want to make escape rooms for a living, like later on. So I'm like, which major will most like be helpful for that? And I was like, I'll just go with computer science because that sounds helpful. Um, and then I guess I just kind of went with it. Besides that, it's a very stable career. Um, it's definitely not as hard to find a job if you have a computer science major than if I was a more liberal arts major. But that being said, I think it's important to choose what you're passionate about despite the career prospects of the major. Because if you go into a money making major and you aren't actually that into it, then college is just going to be like rough. Um, and as an example, more than half of the students at Rice go into Rice as pre meds, and they're all like, yeah, I'm going to be a doctor or surgeon. And then only a handful actually follow through with it and end up in medical school. Um, so yeah, so my advice would be just to follow your passions, and it's okay to switch majors in the middle if your school allows it. And I also totally understand like parental pressure. My parents were both immigrants, so I get that pressure. It's like I want to make them proud. But in the end, your college experience is about you and your journey and growth. So definitely follow what you think you should do. Okay, so now I'm gonna talk about the escape room game that I made for you guys. Um, and I know a few of you have played it, but for those who haven't, to give a quick summary, the storyline is that you are a high school student and your task is to escape high school by completing all of your college application requirements. And you have 1 hour to do so. Okay, so I'm just gonna give a quick spoiler, I guess, of the first level. And there's 7 levels in total, so I'm not really spoiling that much. So on the left here, there's like a checklist, and it might be hard to see, but it says like get a transcript, and these are your tasks that you need to do. You can also like decide to turn music on. You can get a hint if you need it. And then you hit the arrow keys to move and use enter or space if you want to interact with any objects. Um, Also, here's a timer at the top, and then here, sorry, this mouse is kind of distracting, but yeah, there's a dialogue at the top, and then you can move your character with the arrow keys, and this player is just interacting. So here they interacted with those boxes, and it says you've searched the boxes but find nothing. And then it looks like he's going to the swords. It says you find nothing. And then he searches the desk and you get a letter. And it says, hey, sorry, but I have to do this for your own good. You've procrastinated your college applications long enough. Since you're so into games and TikTok these days, I figured I'd leave you a few puzzles to learn more about how to apply. XOXO love mom. And then it says, P.S. college is the answer. So the answer to the first level is just college. So you hit this next level button, enter college, and then if it's correct, it'll take you to the next level and it'll, yeah, until you get to the final level. Okay, also, to actually access the game, you go to this URL. It's ccc-escaperoom.surge.sh. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about the development process of the app and what it took to get to where it is right now. So here I have like a little chart to show the basic development process for mostly any app or website. So first I had to do strategy and planning. And to do that, I started talking to Kathy and Bree in May, and they knew that I really enjoy escape rooms. So we thought, why not make some kind of game that makes the college application process more enjoyable? And we had a few meetings and conversations about what this game could look like and what goals that we wanted it to achieve. So in the end, I decided to develop a game using React, which is a framework for web and app development. And then I went on to the third stage, which is UI UX design, and thought about how I wanted the game to work, and in the end decided on a RPG, like role playing type game where you move the characters around. And then with that, I also planned the different levels of the game. So the next one is the app development process. And that one took me the longest. And this was just getting all the player movements, implementing the map loading and all the levels. And in this next slide, I just have a quick video of what the game looked like when I first started it. It was honestly kind of a mess. Like it was literally just a square and I had a player moving. I didn't have like any of the map loading. And even just this, like getting that player to move took a really long time. And then doing all the rest of it also took a very long time. Okay, so going back, and lastly, for the testing process, I tested this app on a few of my friends to make sure that everything works well and that people can actually finish the game in time. So normally each of these processes are done with large teams of people and take weeks to months each. But because this was a smaller scale game, this entire process took me 3 months total from learning React and all the language to developing the app. And on top of that, I want to say that this game is not perfect at all. I think there's many things that can be improved, and that's what the development process is about. It's not like a quick thing, but rather a process of continuously iterating and improving your product. Okay, so if you're interested in creating a website or game or app, I think you should totally go for it. Colleges and employers love to see these kinds of like passion projects and initiatives on your resume, and I think it's a great way to get your foot in the door. For me, the hardest part is just getting started. Because I know it's like really hard to think like, oh, I want to make an app, but like, how do I even start? Like, I have to learn the language and do all these things. But and there's definitely a big learning curve, but I would say just keep going at it and learn by doing, like watch YouTube and you'll get there. But I did provide some resources to guide you guys if you wanted to get started in some kind of development. So like if you want to get into game development, then I would recommend downloading Unity, which is free. Also, there's this guy named Brackies on YouTube, and he's really good for like beginning Unity tutorials. Also, if you want to make a website, I would look into React, which is what I use to create the escape room website. There's also a guy called Programming with Mosh on YouTube, and he's really good with like just learning basic languages and web development. And then if you want to make apps that are in the App Store, unfortunately you need a Mac, but if you do have a Mac, then I would get started by learning Swift. And then for Android apps, I would download Android Studio. And then if you're into electronics, like electronic prototyping and that kind of stuff, then I would purchase an Arduino, which is like $11. Like it's not that expensive. And then within that, there's like a huge community of people and lots of resources for that. Yeah, and that concludes my presentation. I know it's been a super crazy week with elections and everything, and it's probably hard to think about college right now, but thanks for being here and listening. And if you ever want to reach me for anything like questions about Rice or computer science, there's my email. Yeah, feel free to reach out for anything, and best of luck with school. And now I'll open it up for Q&A.